So we decided we'd go live on this because this is a big issue in the tissue, okay? And the reality is that bladder infections are one of the most annoying, okay, irritating situations that you can have. Now, I'm going to be going on with a really beautiful woman here in a second, and we're going to be talking about her bladder infection situation that's actually leading to an operation that's already booked. So we're going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk her in. I'm not going to talk her out of it. I'm going to talk about, and this is the way I'm always going to do this. I'm allowed to talk like this. I'm going to talk about if I was in her situation, what I would do. But I'm not her. So she's going to make that decision, right? Okay, and remember something, everyone. Guess what? Let's get the anatomy of the body going a little bit better here. And the reality is that your bladder is a little sac that holds urine. And guess what? It sits in the last 4 inches in front of the large intestine, the last 4 inches. So if I couldn't let go emotionally, what's going to happen? I'm going to have stagnation of waste there. If I couldn't let go, okay, physically because of dehydration, okay, because of really, it's all about not letting go on an emotional level, but the dehydration, the missed food combining, the dairy, the sugar, the flour, and 90% of all the food that's in a grocery store is not even real food. And the reality is 90% of all the food in a grocery store didn't exist 90 years ago, and neither did 90% of all the diseases we have. So you put the one and one together, would you? Now, understand this. Chronic bladder infections will be irritated with women by making love. I get it. But the only other reason, and the main reason, is that you're pooping in your pelvis and you've been doing it since a little baby. You go and ask your mother, go ask your father if they even paid attention to that, which most parents never pay attention to it, and understand something. Think about all the time that you had gas, you had cramping, diarrhea, constipation, okay? All the times when you had low back pain, kidney pain, all the time when you actually had any type of period pain or even menopausal symptoms that are going through the roof. This is all about constipation. You know, everybody looks at it and goes, it's a hormonal issue. Well, let me tell you something. All hormonal problems are actually from infection and inflammation. Did you get that? 99.9% of them. So you go ahead, screw around with your hormones, go to a doctor that's going to give you things to try to balance the hormones. You're doing it ass backwards, okay? Butt backwards, all right? You need to go to the true cause, and you're not going to get it unless you take massive personal action. How you doing, love?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Okay, so first of all, how old are you?
I'm 35.
35 years old. How much do you weigh?
Right now, 155.
And what's your height?
I'm 5'4".
5'4", so you're 155. So you are what, about 15, 20 overweight?
Yes, and I actually lost about 50 or 55 pounds within the last year and a half, so I was a lot heavier.
Yeah, and guess what? I'm so proud of you, and I truly mean that, okay?
Thank you.
I truly mean that. Because guess what? Do you know why we're overweight? Because we're self-loathers. That's why. Mm-hmm. We do self-loathing. When you do that, you become overweight because you suppress your emotions with your food, right? You never did that, though, did you?
No, I definitely did that.
Yeah. Okay. So the reality is this. Understand something, everyone. If you're more than 10 pounds overweight, you're obese. Guess what? Mm-hmm. They changed the rules 20 years ago. 10 pounds, you were obese. Did you get that? Go and take a look at a beach in the 1970s. Go try to find somebody that was obese back then. You won't find it. Okay? Yeah. That's because we were eating more what we call real food, and we're not eating real food today. So let's talk about your bladder infection. Tell me everything that you think I need to know.
I mean, maybe in my teenage years I had 1 or 2 of these, like it really was not common at all. But then once I had my second daughter, I mean, I'd have them here and there, but I would, they would either go away naturally or every once in a while I would go for an antibiotic. But after I had my second daughter, I was 21 years old, and I started to get like chronic yeast infections, which eventually went away. And then I started getting bladder or like UTIs. I got chronic UTIs. If it wasn't every couple months, I at least had one every 1 to 3 months. And within the last 3 years, it's almost been like every single month. As soon as I get rid of one, I feel like I'm getting another one.
Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because London Bridge is falling down. Because the reality is your transverse colon has dropped probably 4 to 5 inches. And your transverse colon was supposed to be up under your ribs, and it's come down. And when that comes down, your stomach drops down because your transverse colon holds your stomach up. So now you have problems digesting, okay, because we got to get it back up. And you're losing tone in your abdominal area. And when the transverse colon comes down, you don't think you're pushing your small intestine and the lower part of your large intestine down on your pelvis and on top of your bladder?
It's funny because when you said a couple minutes ago, I noticed you said something about your colon being right over your bladder. And when they did this cystoscopy, I had this done a couple weeks ago, where this like lesion was that I was explaining to you like a couple hours ago, it's right where, at least where he showed me, it's right where my colon or like my intestines would be, right on top of my bladder. That's where they found this lesion.
Oh yeah, but you need to understand something. That lesion is keeping your small and maybe your large intestine actually glued, like super glued to your bladder. So how do you think your bladder feels with having a dead snake, or not dead snake, but your intestine, which we call it a snake. It's not something evil, but it's in a coma, so it doesn't have a lot of tone, and it's laying on top. How would you like it if I laid on top of you for a few hours, a few days, a few years?
I'd be uncomfortable.
Yeah, you would be. So the reality is now, guess what? Where do you live?
I live in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. I don't know if we have a therapist in Pennsylvania, but I will tell you this much, and that's this. If I could have 5 to 10 minutes to work just above your bladder, I could loosen up that adhesion, and it wouldn't be there. It'd be gone in 5 minutes. You could go get an ultrasound and just say, oh my God, where'd it go? Because we're not getting rid of the adhesion. What we're doing is bringing the blood supply back in and turning it back into connective tissue. And then we would do an abdominal lift and lift that transverse colon, part of your large intestine, back up into place. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So, you know, if you're not doing pelvic squats, if you're not doing the crab stretch, okay, even take a look at the pelvic expander. That's what you need to do. And you need to do the ultimate coffee enema. You need to do daily cleansing tea and black gold. And if I was in your situation, I would do at least a 6 to 9 day advanced water fast. If not, at least get on the perfect day diet and then start doing the ultimate coffee enema.
That's the thing. I've been trying. It's just like I can't get past even the first day. Like I'm pathetic. I can't.
Okay, you're not allowed to do that. When you were calling yourself down like every hour, that's why you gained all that weight. You're not pathetic. There's nothing pathetic about you. So when you go on the advanced water fast, okay, are you following the rules?
I mean, I'm trying. It's like when I'm doing this water fast, I'm trying like as much hot water with ginger and lemon as I can. I'm doing just juicing. Like when you say water fast, you just mean liquid, or do you mean literally water?
Well, why don't you go into my library and watch the 3-hour advanced water fasting video and then tell me. If you watch that, you're going to nail this thing. You know what? Doing an advanced water fast releases more stem cells, and it goes in and does more autophagy, which means your body goes in and eats up tumors, cysts, everything that shouldn't be in there. It renews you. So between the autophagy, between the stem cell making, we get a new you, right?
Yes.
Okay. And the other thing is how are your bowels moving the last few days?
I've always thought that like I had normal, regular bowel movements, but
how many people?
I mean, it's usually at least once a day, every.
First of all, once a day. Okay. First of all, that is awful. Once a day is awful. You want 2 to 3 movements. I'm going to tell you something. I eat once a day. I swear to God, I do. I eat once a day, and I have 2 to 3 bowel movements. Understand something. Most people will have 1 bowel movement. You know why? Because their bowel has become a compactor. They don't drink enough structured water, warm water throughout the day. Like right now at 155 pounds, I would tell you to do 3 quarts of warm to hot water, structured water, minimum a day. And that's even going to help your bowel movements. Don't drink cold water, constricts. If you get more into the warm to hot water, you're going to soothe things. You're going to open up things, okay?
Yeah. What made me nervous and when I realized something was wrong with my gut was my husband and I tried to do this parasite cleanse, and instantly he was seeing results and I wasn't. I didn't notice anything for 2 weeks. I mean, I noticed no difference.
And guess
so
what?
I know
that means that your husband has an easier time letting go of things physically and emotionally, and you don't.
I never thought about it that way.
Well, you better think about it because you're a light energy, electrical, magnetic, feminine energy system. That's what you are. So the reality is when you can't let go, things are going to grow inside of you, and the wrong things. And the other thing too is this: people can do all the parasite cleanses they want, but they're going to continually do them. You've got to find a perfect day in the way that you eat, drink, and think. I never have to do a parasite cleanse. A parasite couldn't live in me if they wanted. It's too low vibrational. I'm high vibrational all around the board. You know what? If you did daily cleansing tea and black gold and a little bit of black diamond, you'll never have parasites. You'll never have parasites unless you just eat terrible man-made food and you are a self-loather. Understand something. I know people that eat a really great diet, but they don't love themselves. They don't love themselves. They actually hate themselves. They think they're unworthy. And guess what? They're never going to get rid of these parasites because the inner terrain decides what's going to live there, whether it's going to be vital or whether it's going to be sucking off of you. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So you said that you have a bladder surgery coming?
I do. I had like the run around with that because I was going to different urologists because one wasn't available for the next few months, and I tried to transfer to this other place, and I had like terrible experiences. Not terrible, they just were not ideal. I mean, the first place I had the cystoscopy at, they didn't even have, they went to go take a picture of this lesion that they found, and he said, we definitely want to get a biopsy of this.
Oh, wait a second. Just know this, and I don't really care. They can't do anything to me. A lesion is scar tissue, okay? And guess what? If we were to go in and do a biopsy and cut a piece of that tissue off of the lesion, do you think we might piss that lesion off and make it more inflamed?
Well, I mean, literally what they said to me was, well, you know, there's a chance that we might poke a hole in your bladder. In that case, we'll just leave in a catheter. I'm like, wait, hold on a second. So you could puncture a hole in my bladder accidentally, and then where does the urine go? Like, it's just like going into my body. I feel like they never really explained anything properly to me. And this other guy, I went to another urologist because I didn't like my experience. They didn't have the paper they needed to print out this picture of what they found. I mean, this thing was red and inflamed. It was, you know, I have protein and blood in my urine, and that was, you know, a concern for them.
But hold on a second. You know what? I get it, but the reality is this: if you were to do a perfect day diet, have you ever done a perfect day? Have you ever done a perfect day consultation with any of my staff?
No.
Well, guess what? If you were to do one of those today, you would see a change in yourself in 7 to 10 days.
Wow.
Okay, well, understand something. If you can unconsciously get infected, do you think that you could consciously heal yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Understand something. Big Pharma is nothing but a monster that will eat up anything that you want to spend. Okay?
I believe it.
All right. And the reality is this. I get it. Some people need to take drugs. I get it. Some people need to go to emergency. But if you're going to make yourself into a 911 emergency, you'll be sold off by the pound. You know, if you decide you want to get the surgery, just know this, that you're going to have a ton of scar tissue. When you do the surgery that they're going to do on you, you're going to have a block of scar tissue in you in about 2 to 3 months after that, and that's going to block the circulation. You are going to have more problems than you can shake a stick at. So now, even if you do the surgery, you're going to have to do non-surgical, and you're going to have to do clapping. And understand this: if I were to get you right now, to go in and take like, we're talking about a teaspoon of infinite iodine. We have the only pure iodine in the world, and it's the only pure. And you were to put your butt up in the air, and you were to pour a teaspoon of infinite iodine into your vaginal canal, let it soak for about 3 to 5 minutes, And then what we're going to do is then we're going to take what's called silver bullet gel. Okay, and we're going to take about 2 ounces maybe of silver bullet gel, 1 ounce to 2 ounces, depending on how big the pelvic area is for different women. And you're going to take silver bullet gel. You're going to take a little bit of C60, maybe a drop of frankincense, okay, and a few drops of what's called Bright Eyes Nano Drops. And when you put that in to the vaginal canal, you're now going to leave that in for about 15 to 20 minutes, or go to bed with it in there and just have a pad. If we were to do that 3 times today, I would put money on the table that you don't have a bladder infection. Now, you'll need to do it 3 times a day for about 5 days, because when you have bladder infections for all the years that you do, you have tissue that's decomposed, okay? You can't have a lesion or an adhesion unless you've had tons of infection that created inflammation that caused scar tissue formation. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that's, okay. Now picture this. The scar tissue is in between the bladder and the large intestine transverse colon that's sitting on top of it, because your transverse colon is called leaky gut, and you're pooping into your pelvis because the tone's not there. So what does your body do? Well, with that infection, it says, well, what we want to do is create an adhesion, because scar tissue doesn't have circulation, so it's like beef jerky. So we can create a wall in between the large intestine and the bladder so that you don't end up with bladder cancer. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now if I were to get you to buy into my BS, my belief systems, and you were to do like an ultimate coffee enema once or twice a day, get on the daily cleansing tea, black gold, get on the perfect day diet, and do an ultimate coffee enema, like I said, once, twice a day, even just once a day, and then get a clapper from us and start clapping the inside of your groin and just above your pubic bone, and on it, we're going to increase the circulation. Because you can say, yeah, but I don't need more circulation, Dr. Wolf. It hurts so much. I have so much inflammation. I even have a puffy little area down there. Well, that's just water retention, trying to put the fire down, because it's actually dammed up. But by clapping and doing everything I said, it'll increase the circulation and it'll break the beaver dam. The beaver dam being not just the lesion that is sticking the large intestine to the bladder. You've got all kinds of scar tissue. If I were to, if we ever could do this, I would do it for free for you. I would come online and show people that if I worked on you on your lower pelvic, we could show that you've got 2 probably little baby fists on either side, right by your ovaries. That's scar tissue. Okay.
Where are you located? Like, I'm at the point where I'm just like at my wit's end. And
well, I can tell you this much. Here's the deal. I leave here on the 16th and I go to lecture in Texas. Prosper, Texas. Then I go to lecture in Stuart, Florida, and I go to lecture in Chicago, Illinois. Okay? From there, I go to do lectures up in Vancouver area and Vancouver Island, and then from there, I come back down to Stuart, Florida. So I'm going on a world tour right now. On the 16th of February, I leave here, and we're doing a world tour all around the world, lecturing and doing just like I just said. If I will make you this promise, and then you can come online and you can tell people whether I'm full of it. If I worked on your pelvic area for 20 to 25 minutes, you would say to me, Dr. Wolf, this is the first time I felt free down there in probably 10, 20 years. Because, see, we don't realize, like the grains of sand in a clock, one of those sand clocks, that we lose. If you couldn't do a pelvic squat, you'll be lucky if you can even make love to your husband, because the infection and the inflammation and the scar tissue formation. And once we start lovingly pulling the scar tissue apart and allow the blood supply in, remember, we don't get rid of scar tissue. We bring back the blood flow, the lymph flow, the energy. Did you know that a woman's pelvis is the holy grail? It is the generating system for a woman. All the information is collected in your pelvis, goes up into your coccyx, goes into your spinal fluid to your brain to tell your body what to do. So right now we know that you are jammed up, jelly tight, girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And understand, I get it. You want to take antibiotics, just know this. And I
Oh, I
mean this.
don't.
I know, but I'm going to tell something to everybody out there. Antibiotics, they do not discriminate. They blow up all bad and good bacteria. If you have a life-threatening situation, I get it. Do antibiotics, but it could put you into a life-threatening situation as well. And understand, if I had an infection in my vagina, would I put something in my mouth or should I put it in my vagina to get rid of that infection?
You would think your vagina.
Well, there you go, if we actually think. But guess what? Practitioners don't think, they're programmed, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you want to talk about?
I really am curious about the teas that you're talking about. I did, when you say black gold, I'm assuming you mean, I did purchase at one point, like a month ago, this black cumin seed oil. I don't know if that's the same thing.
No, that's not it.
No. Okay.
No, black gold, we have the only humic fulvic that is actually filtered without chemicals. And both the black gold and the black diamond contain 70 micronutrients, and it also will capture 300 to 600% of its weight in heavy metals, parasites, and chemicals. And that's and humic fulvic was in all the soil, and it's been stripped out of the soils, and that's why our food has no value anymore. So that's why we add it to the daily program of the people that believe in what we're doing. Okay.
Now, my other question, I don't know, like, if this is going to sound like a silly question, but when I was getting these UTIs chronically, like, it was always, the bacteria that showed up was always E. coli. So,
okay, so wait a second. Whoa. Wait a second.
Sure.
Where does E. coli come from?
Your stomach, your
no, it
colon.
doesn't. Don't you dare say stomach. No, wrong.
Colon, sorry.
Well, I know, but we need to say it just like how they say.
Your rectum.
Just say it's a gut-brain connection problem with people. Well, no, it's not. It's a large intestine brain. It's got nothing to do with the gut. It's all about the large intestine. And the E. coli, I just told you that you're pooping in your pelvis, and you're pooping E. coli into your pelvis, and of course, it gets into your bladder. Okay, so you don't just have physical pressure from your large intestine falling down and out, okay? You've got it leaking because you don't have the tone there. And if your large intestine's inflamed, then that means that the 1 cell thick of protection that you have in the large intestine's burnt out. Then that means the E. coli gets through it. It's like a screen door in a submarine. The other thing is that even if you're taking it into your bloodstream, it's got to either be processed, the E. coli, by your liver, which it rejects it, so it has to go out through your kidneys, and that's why the E. coli is in your bladder. There's nothing wrong with your kidneys, it's your colon. It was your colon when you were a little girl, and it's still your colon, large intestine, when you're older.
Okay. Now, is this something that would, because my thought was that, like, I saw a specialist a couple months ago before I had the cystoscopy, and they prescribed me this antiseptic, and then they told me to take Diamantos. But ever since I took Diamantos, I started shedding, like, mucus from my urethra, like from my bladder.
I know, but understand something. And the reality is it was trying to bring up the vibration of the cleansing. But here's the deal. Why don't we take the pressure off the bladder by and focusing on the colon, and then why don't we do the vaginal infusions to go and heal everything? Do you actually think that you're going to take something orally that's going to actually heal your vaginal canal?
It doesn't seem like it's...
Well, where would it have to go? It'd have to go in your mouth. It'd have to go down your digestive tract, which is 30 feet long, right?
Yeah.
Am I right or wrong? And then somehow it's got to get into your bloodstream, and then it's got to go from your bloodstream into your vaginal canal to feed the tissues. Good luck with that. I mean, do practitioners not even think? I mean, if there was a problem at the back door, why am I at the front?
Right.
Okay.
I think the only reason at this point that I even considered doing this surgery is because they were going to do this biopsy, and I just have this feeling that, like, it could be cancerous. I don't really trust these doctors. I mean, I don't trust either one.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
And please, this is your decision. I am not going to play doctor. I am not going to play I know better, okay? All right? But the reality is, do you feel that you're in a life-threatening situation right now? Do or die?
Yeah.
Do you?
I feel that way because I'm in pain all the time.
I asked you if are you going to pass away in the next few weeks or few months? Do you
No,
think?
no, I don't
Okay,
know.
so would you give me just 3 to 6 weeks to prove that I'm right? Not right,
Absolutely.
but prove that that your body will heal. Not that I'm right. I don't want to be right. Forget that one. So, would you give me 3 to 6 weeks to prove that you don't have any pain left?
I would love that.
Okay, so the reality is the reason why you have pain is you have inflammation. The reason why you have inflammation is infection. And do you actually think that if they go in and cut you open that you're not going to keep pooping in your pelvis and you're not going to have even more adhesions and more scar tissue? Are you
kidding? Yeah, make it worse.
What?
It's just going to make it worse.
Yes. Oh, but maybe it won't. Maybe we'll get lucky, but you're rolling the dice. Remember something, surgery creates scar tissue more than anything else. And the last place that you want scar tissue is in your pelvis, wrapping around your ovaries, your uterus, okay? Or your fallopian tubes, or your bladder. And that's what's going to happen. Remember something, when you get surgery, do you think that might be traumatic, dramatic, and cause a lot of inflammation in your vaginal canal?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the more inflammation you create, the more scar tissue you're going to create. So if anybody decides to get surgery anywhere in their body, if you go see a Wolf non-surgical therapist, we'll give you a money-back guarantee that when you go the first treatment, we're going to give you freedom back. Because even if you think that you're healed, what about all the scar tissue that the inflammation left behind? That's where you think you're older. That's where your joints are stiffer. That's where your organs don't work as well. That's where your energy levels are now lower. That's where your pain resistance is down. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you something. I will be 67 years old. Do I look it? Do I feel it? Do I act it?
No.
Okay, I'm never going to. Because I am not going to fit in. I will never fit in. I'll never fit into anything that the majority is doing. So all I want to say to you, sweetheart, is this. Take a look what the majority's doing and then maybe look the other way and see what you can do to take massive personal action and tell those 50 trillion cells, those 500 trillion good bacteria that you actually love them and you're going to care for them.
Yeah. That's what I want to do.
Yeah. Here's what I would do, and this is the best person right now to do it with. Go to docofdetox.com, click on consultations, and then click on Lorraine. She's my assistant here. All right? And
okay.
Then you can hold me totally responsible for the outcome. You're talking about $150, and you're talking about 6 weeks of us. You can call me and her as much as you want, and after that, you can call me as much as you want. We always guarantee that your master trainer will be with you for 6 weeks, and after 6 weeks, you might get me, you might get another trainer. You can call me, but you can take my feet to the fire on this one, because guess what? You were created by God Almighty, and your body is going to heal when you decide to become the driver of your brain and make the decisions.
Okay.
All right.
I want to do it.
So what do you think?
I want to do it.
Okay. Well, you know what? I didn't ask you for months. I just said give me 3 to 6 weeks, didn't I? And guess what?
Yeah.
If it's okay with you, we'll come back online here, won't we?
Yeah.
Okay, in 3 weeks, I'll be on my world tour. I'm going to be traveling the world for the next 11 months. We're going to be in many different countries, many different cities, giving free lectures. If people want to know more about it, go to NWPWorldTour.com and understand something. Just because you heard something new doesn't mean I don't know what I'm talking about. Just because everybody's doing something doesn't make it right, and it may not make it safe. Understand, take a look at the world we live in, how many natural health practitioners there are, how many medical doctors, and are we any healthier than we were last year? Are we any healthier than we were 10 years ago? Are we any healthier than we were 100 years ago? No, we are in the worst shape we've ever been in. So until you want to decide, okay, that I will, let me put it this way. People, it's not their fault that they're not well, okay, because we've been played. But it is your responsibility to love and care for yourself. Any other questions?
No.
All right. we'll have a beautiful day, and we'll talk to you. So, tell Lorraine to touch base with me if you decide to move forward. And then after your consult, give me a call. You've got my phone number. And
Sure.
let's just hit this one out of the park, will we?
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Just remember something, you coming on here, and if you come back on with me again, you have done more than I could do in a year, okay? Because you're coming from a personal story, and let's see if we can have that happy ending, okay?
Sure.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye now. All right, well, thanks for joining me. And if you would like to come on and do a live like this, this is how you get a consult with Dr. Wolf. You want to do a live? Okay? With me? You want to do a consult with me? I'm never going to say your name. You never have to show your face. But guess what? That's what we're going to do for you. Okay? All right? So challenge me. Call me. My phone number is 469-861-9454. I can't tell you that I'll do it right away, but we'll have a talk, and then I'll do it as soon as I can. And just know this, when we come together as brothers and sisters, as an earth family, everything will change. Have a beautiful day, and God bless everyone. 3, 2, 1. You've got this.